What are the expectations for the Broncos next season? This is your Denver Sports Daily for May 7th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Ian Eagle, who's one of the best-known voices of the NBA and NFL, joined 104.3 The Fan yesterday and spoke on the Broncos and what the expectations are for them next season and what the talks are around the league surrounding the Denver Broncos. Now, Eagle knows the Broncos better than most, calling many of their games, and he notably covered the New York Jets game last season when the Broncos beat New York on the road 10-9 in a gritty win. And Eagle spoke on that game specifically, saying, for the Broncos, it was really a starting point. And I just saw a confident quarterback. I think there's a belief within this team, and there's certainly a belief with Sean Payton that the guy knows how to win, knows how to run a program. He's a problem solver. He'll figure it out. He'll do it in his way. That's what Eagle had to say about that game. And it did feel like a turning point. It really felt like a spot where the Broncos switched from a young team that's rebuilding entirely to this rebuild could be something good, better than good. It could be Bo Nix. It could be the dynasty that has been waiting for the Broncos. This has been the talk of the past 10 years. When are the Broncos going to get somebody that can bring them back to the promised land? And as for the expectations facing this team, Eagle went on to say, I would tell you that it's a lot of positive energy in the offseason from a national perspective with Denver, that they can take the next step. There's a lot of positive energy. That's what he said there. A lot of positive energy in Denver that they can take that next step. I mean, we've seen it before. There are teams that go out there and get the right quarterback, and they just immediately take themselves from worst to first. The Washington Commanders, for example, Jaden Daniels, they were dead in the water before Jaden Daniels, and they took the right quarterback, and they go to an NFC championship. The Houston Texans, dead in the water. They were gone with Deshaun Watson. They hadn't done anything positive in the past years. Even with Deshaun Watson, they hadn't really gone that far. And then they went and got CJ Stroud. And in his rookie season, he did the impossible and took them back to the playoffs and won a game. It was incredible. Same kind of thing happened with the Broncos. Now, the Broncos maybe could have won a playoff game if they didn't have to go up against the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round, because that was just the worst possible scenario, because, the Buffalo Bills are the Buffalo Bills. But Bo Nix did it. He did what the Broncos were hoping for. Coming off their first playoff appearance in 10 years and their first winning season in 9, there's clearly a good energy surrounding this team and Bo Nix. You look at what he did in that 1 year, in that small time window, they really improved from worst to first, that kind of thing. So with the expectations, it should be the playoffs for the Broncos. They should not be thinking, we'll do as good as we can. Hopefully we get third in the AFC West. That's not what they should be thinking. They should be thinking playoffs. And if the team really believes that they nailed the offseason, the expectation should be a playoff win. Now, did they nail the offseason? I don't know. I can't tell you. I was a bit upset at some of the draft choices. As we know, I don't think that RJ Harvey is going to be the best player they could have gotten, but they made some great moves. They really buffed up the defense, which obviously was incredible last season, but now they're just even better. They're going to be one of the best defenses in the league. So looking at that, can the defense carry them further than the offense can? And hopefully Bo Nix is the guy and he can do that kind of work. Sorry, let me rephrase. Bo Nix is the guy. Let's hope that he takes a jump in this offseason and is able to make the other players around him better on the offense, because that's what the best quarterbacks in the league do. If he can lift everybody up with him, rising tide raises all ships. If he can bring them all up with him, then this is going to be a great team, and we could be looking at a playoff win next season. Now, moving on, the Avalanche made a coaching change in response to the Game 7 blunder on Saturday. And yesterday I spoke about the possibility of Jared Bednar and the era of him coming to an end. And the Avs did decide to make a coaching change, but it was not Bednar. Instead, the organization has fired assistant coach Ray Bennett, who had been with the team for 8 years and was primarily responsible for the play of the forwards and the power play. Now, if you remember, the Avs had an early power play on Saturday that they failed to capitalize on. So was that kind of the last the nail on the camel's back? Could have been, but the collapse on Saturday happened for a lot of different reasons, including Mikko Rantanen, who sent the Avs home basically single-handedly. But honestly, the power play was not the biggest issue. So if it's more about the forwards, more about whatever that is, sure. If that's what they were looking at more, fine. but I don't want to say that it was all his fault. I don't know if he was the one that got fired because of the blunder. It should have been maybe Jared Bednar. And I don't want to say Jared Bednar should have gotten fired. It's a tough situation to talk about with firings. You know how that goes. But Jared Bednar is the head coach. And when something like that falls, when you have a 2-0 lead in the third period in game 7 and you give up 4 unanswered goals, there's a bigger problem than the forwards and the power play. Now, again, I don't want to say it's surprising that the Avs are keeping Bednar, but it wouldn't have surprised me if they did, in fact, decide to let him go. Now, the Avs GM, Chris McFarland, spoke on Jared Bednar and gave him a vote of confidence, saying he's 100% confident Jared's our head coach. End quote. Quote, 100% confident Jared's our head coach, end quote. So he's confident. They obviously have their confidence in Jared Bednar, but should they? Losing your 4th game 7 in a fashion like this would usually be enough to fire a head coach. But clearly, again, the Avs still have confidence in Bednar. And if the Avs have confidence in Bednar, I've got confidence in Bednar. You got to trust. You really do have to trust that. You know, Joe Sakic was out there at that press conference yesterday, and he was confident in Jared Bednar, and that's what you want. You want your team to be confident. And honestly, I respect that. I like that. If your team isn't confident in you as head coach and they move on keeping you as the head coach, that's a problem. But they're voicing their confidence. They're saying that that Jared Bednar is the head coach until we say different. There's no other coach for this team. It's Jared Bednar. I'm with it. I'm all there for it. Now, moving on, it is a Nuggets game day tonight. The Nuggets are taking on the OKC Thunder for game 2 of the second round. And last time they played on Monday, the Nuggets came out on top thanks to some late heroics from Aaron Gordon, who secured the win after he hit a 3-pointer to end the game, 121-119. And if you watch that game, it may have been the best watch of a Nuggets game ever. Something about the playoffs this year, there's been like 5 game winners. What is going on? And 2 of the 5 game winners all around the league have come from Aaron Gordon. I mean, this guy, Mr. Nugget himself, you got to love him. And with a win like that, just boosts you. You get a win on the road against the OKC Thunder, the number 1 team in the league, favorites to win the finals, and you go out and you hit a 3-pointer to put them to bed. Oh my gosh, they are rolling. They are rolling. Now, the good news is the Nuggets won their last game even though they played poorly. And the standout stat was the turnovers. If you're talking about poor, they were not good. They had terrible turnover stats, 18 in fact, and allowed 23 points off of those turnovers. But if they limit the turnovers, this should be a better, more clean win for the Nuggets. Now, the bad news is the Thunder didn't play as well as they have throughout the season at all. They weren't hitting their 3-pointers at the same clip, and they were allowing an absurd amount of second chance points. The offensive rebounds, the Nuggets were out rebounding the OKC Thunder by 20. So if the Nuggets can keep that up, they'll be able to get a win again. But if the OKC Thunder learn from their mistakes and start actually boxing out rather than allowing 20 offensive rebounds, this will be a much harder game. Now, again, though, if Nikola Jokic continues to perform at the level he did in game 1, the Nuggets still very good chance of winning both games on the road. I mean, you look at Nikola Jokic, he doesn't even look like he's out there trying. He ends the game with 40 points and 20 rebounds. It's insane that guy can just do what he does. You know, he's breaking records. First player ever in playoff history to record 40 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks. And he did it. First player ever. And he's doing that against the best team in the league. Now, that being said, if the Nuggets do take a 2-0 lead, we should be getting ready for another finals run. And maybe early. I may be too soon to say that. But if they take a 2-0 lead on the road against the OKC Thunder, get ready to start having a parade. I'm so serious. Get ready for a parade, because if they beat the Thunder, there's nobody in the league that can beat the Nuggets. Now, the Thunder are the favorites to win the finals right now. And if they go down 2-0 at home, that would greatly depreciate their chances, while it would increase the Nuggets tenfold. The Nuggets are heading into tonight's game as 10-point underdogs again. And if you remember, that was the same line that they had on Monday. 10 points. That's disrespectful, honestly. If I was on the Nuggets roster, I would be taking that as a form of disrespect. And that game will tip off at 7:30 p.m. That's going to do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow, recapping hopefully a big Nuggets win, and then talking more about the Avalanche. You know, this presser, there's a lot of things going on. There's going to be some movements in this offseason. And luckily, maybe unluckily, it wasn't Jared Bednar. He is staying with the team. So I'll let you guys decide how to feel about that. But I know that if I was a GM and my coach let up 4 goals in a row in game 7, I'd be pretty upset. And I don't know if I'd want to keep him. But hey, I'm not a GM for a reason. But that's going to do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.